Hello and welcome to Quartzlight, your car brochure channel, and in today's episode we're continuing our 1987 Renault journey with the Renault 21. Welcome back, and if you're new to Quartzlight, we look at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. So if you're interested in cars and car brochures, please consider subscribing. Anyway, today we're continuing our 1987 Renault journey. We've already looked at the Renault 5, the Renault 9, the Renault 11. So that means we're now up to the Renault 21. So let's take a look at that now. So those who are familiar with this series and have been watching it will remind you that this is a tiny brochure. Very, very small, but for the full range for 1987. Front cover is showing the Renault 21 Savannah. The Savannah is what we called the UK estates. Got the name Savannah for whatever reason. But anyway, let's turn to the Renault 21 page and have a look what's to offer. So here we have the Renault 21, and we'll certainly zoom in a moment. We've also got a little bit of a guest today as well. Someone enjoying the programme. So the Renault 21, replacement of course for the Renault 18. It arrived in 1986, so this is quite early on. This is an 87 brochure, ran till 94. And it was a car that won quite a few awards, particularly with What Car. So in 87 it won What Car Best Family Saloon for the Renault 21 GTS, and it also won the Best Family Estate for the 21 Savannah, and the Renault 21 Savannah also won Car of the Year. So a very well regarded car actually when it was first launched. And this is obviously the saloon version. Interestingly, the Renault 21 was actually called the Renault Medallion in North America. And we may as well just throw that quick brochure on now. So this one's actually a Canadian brochure for the Renault 21, although like I say, in North America they called it the Medallion. And this is actually a 1988 brochure. So it's a little bit of styling change at the front. I think the biggest change was these silly North American spec bumpers, much larger than the European ones because North America, I guess. I'll just zoom in on the side there. And there we go, instead of being called the Renault 21, the Renault Medallion, using a 2.2 litre engine. And yes, you could get it in estate form as well, although I should call it the station wagon really, shouldn't I? And the rear there with the Medallion badge as well. Obviously different lights for different regulations in North America, but surprising to still see the orange indicators rather than the red that's more commonly used in North America. I think the front end around the grille there is probably the biggest change for the North American market though. It almost reminds me a bit like a Subaru actually. And another quick look at the Renault Medallion Canadian front end, and like I say, the change in the lights and the bumper really give it a completely different look. Obviously these light changes are all for different regulations, and obviously the bigger bumper is to meet North American regulations, but certainly it really changes the look doing that. And the much nicer finished front end with these more flush front bumpers and this kind of like nice, more traditional sort of Renault grille, which kind of like wasn't much of a grille with the Renault badge. But overall I think the look of the European version does look a lot nicer. A look at the rear of the saloon though, with those squared off wheel arches. I don't know if that's more style or aerodynamics, I'm not sure, but I know Citroën like to cover the rear wheels a little bit for extra aerodynamics. Doesn't tell me which model this particular one is, but you know, they look like quite nice alloy wheels, so I would say a bit more of a higher spec one. And of course at the front we've got these sort of yellowed front fog lamps, usually indicates a higher spec model as well. What do you think, Midnight? Yeah, she seems quite happy. Okay, so let's move on. So sticking to our UK brochure now for the 1987 Renault range, a little bit of a look at the interior. I always thought Renault interiors always looked very comfortable, didn't they, just by looking at them, because French, lovely interiors overall. But let's have a look at some of the text and see what this is telling us. And I guess we should also point out that little nice little space where the rear seat folds down to you can pass something through the boot. Bit more practical. It tells us the Renault 21 and 21 Savannah, the luxurious, ultra-modern, aerodynamic and spacious Renault 21 saloon, provides a perfect answer to today's motoring needs. The 6 petrol engine versions, all with electronic ignition, are the Renault 21 TL, TS, GTS and RS, with a 1721cc, the 21 RX and TXE with a 1995cc, and the 2 diesel versions of the Renault 21 GTD and Turbo D 2068cc all have a 5-speed gearbox. The Renault 21 TS and GTS return a best-in-class 55.4 miles per gallon at a constant 56 miles per hour. Then it points us to the Renault 21 Estate, the 21 Savannah, which was on the front cover. We might just have a quick look at that again. Shares the technology and luxury of the saloon. Both have a superbly planned driving position. The Renault 21 Savannah TL and GTS 1721cc and the 21 Savannah GTX with a 1995cc are petrol engined with electronic ignition. The 21 Savannah GTD has a 2068cc diesel engine. All have a 5-speed gearbox. The 21 Savannah is significantly longer than the saloon and has an enormous load capacity. One option available will enable it to carry up to 7 occupants in individual comfort. And here is that very practical Estate. This particular one is GTS spec. Nice big luggage bars at the top, which I quite like, and obviously a very, very practical car. A little bit of a straight over the wheel arch, I guess, for aerodynamics, same as the saloon, but overall I think I quite like these. Just quickly show you, this is actually from the Canadian brochure again, but I think it's quite nice how it shows that optional extra couple of seats there that you could get on the Savannah, or in this case the station wagon. But obviously they were only very small seats, so I don't know about comfort, so we're kind of like thinking a couple of kids, maybe under 10s. And that really doesn't leave much luggage space in there either, does it, when you're fully loaded up like that? There we go, the Renault 21. Incidentally, the Renault Medallion, which was sold in America and Canada, was only sold between 1987 and 1988. Making it quite a rare car, I'm sure. And then from 1988 to 1989, it was sold as the Eagle Medallion. If you do remember any of these cars, in particular the Renault 21 that we looked at today, please do jot that in the comments if you've owned one, if you remember them. Always interesting to read. I do like these big Renaults. Next time on this series, we're up to the Renault Espace. My very interesting car, I think, the Renault Espace. And we've looked at it before, but we will look at it again in this brochure. But anyway, for now we'll say thank you so much for watching. Please do like and subscribe. Take care. We'll see you very soon. And goodbye.